Ray's Candy Store in New York City, and Minnesota Fresh at the Bloomington Farmers Market. Legislative candidates in Eden Prairie and Minnetonka, a DFL trio of incumbents, and 12 Days Free from Violence, an event throughout the Twin Cities. This is Democratic Visions. Here's Jeff Strait.
A really fine new video by Twin Cities NonVolent considers ways to promote peace and community. 8 Points to Peace is part of this year's 12 Days Free from Violence. The events run through October 2nd.
For more than 50 years, Father Harry Burry, the Maverick Priest, has been a voice calling for peace and justice in a world fraught with violence and injustice.
Here in St. Paul, as in Minneapolis, the mission of Twin Cities NonVolent is to create an environment in which the Twin Cities and beyond can be free from violence.
Peace enriches our communities and individual lives as it directs us to embrace diversity and support one another to the fullest extent possible. To this goal, Twin Cities NonVolent presents 8 Points to Peace.
In the Twin Cities, we need to change the way we look at justice. Justice is not vengeance. Justice is restorative.
In the Twin Cities, there are 3 police departments. There's the Highway Patrol, there's the Sheriff's Department, and then there's the City Police. But we're not afraid of the Highway Patrol or the Sheriff's Department, but we're afraid of the City Police. I wonder why that is. Could it possibly be training?
A lot of us don't know our police officers. They just come in our community and enforce law. We would like to get to know our police because we don't. We see them as enforcers instead of protectors.
How I can make the relationship better with the police in my community is, I don't know. I can't even tell you.
We can't have police officers with guns and tasers dealing with 12-year-olds behaving badly. What we need are trained professionals, people that know how to de-escalate, how to heal.
I gave a proposal to the chief of police in Minneapolis to train police in how to be creatively nonviolent by using empathy, and I haven't gotten a response yet. One of the tragedies of our country today is mass shooting, as we have just seen in Buffalo, New York, and in Texas. Mass shooting of our children, our babies. And the way to keep this from happening now in the future is reasonable gun laws.
Assault weapons are designed for one purpose and one purpose only: to kill as many people as possible, as quickly as possible. It's past time to ban assault weapons and large capacity magazines for civilian use. Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act, also known as the PLCAA, blocks legal responsibility for gun manufacturers that have failed to innovate and make guns safer. It also protects gun manufacturers, distributors, and dealers who have irresponsible, reckless, and negligent sales practices that contribute to the flood of illegal firearms in our community. This law must be rescinded.
In 1994 through 2004, we had a ban on assault weapons, and mass shootings went down 43%. It works.
Requiring background checks on all gun sales is proven to reduce gun violence. State laws requiring background checks for all handgun sales, by point-of-sale check or permit, are associated with lower firearm homicide rates, lower firearm suicide rates, and lower firearm trafficking.
Everybody has a right to a place to live, a place to go to at night, a place to be with their family.
I work at a homeless shelter. We get stickers say housing is a human right. Yet on any given night in Minneapolis, there's roughly 10,000 people that are experiencing homelessness. It would cost us far less as taxpayers to pay for affordable housing. Booking and one night in jail, $400. A night in detox, $500. A workup in an emergency room, $4,000. Cost for an apartment, $900 to $1,000 a month. To keep a family together, it's essential that they have affordable housing.
People don't understand how dire the situation is. A father called seeking shelter. He had lost a job, it was a good job, and he was needing to separate his family in order to find safety. He said they were letting go of a lot of things, mainly each other.
That's not what Minneapolis and St. Paul are about. We're about helping these people to be able to live meaningful and fulfilling lives. Twin Cities NonVolent is concerned about our schools. It's very important that our schools be places where the children not only feel safe, but where they learn to read and write and to get along with one another. That's so important.
Our city school systems can do better. As a society, what can we do to change that? Education is the #1 thing that provides the self-esteem for any individual.
My family was part of the largest gang in the state of Minnesota, and we preyed on kids. We have a gang problem in the Twin Cities just like a lot of other states. And the reason we have a gang problem is because kids are growing up without hope. And hope is just the breeding ground for attracting gangs. Gangs prey on kids that have no hope because they can't see a future, and they give them a future although it's dark.
If we can give our young kids opportunity, hope, and justice, I really believe we can stop the killing that's going on right now.
If they gave scholarships to people that didn't graduate, a lot of us would really want to be something in life. If we are able to get scholarships and things like that without graduating, I promise you a lot of African-American young men would be plumbers, electricians, police officers, you name it. A lot of us would be them.
Before I joined the gang, if somebody really would have offered me a scholarship to really better myself, I would have never joined the gang.
One of the missions of Twin Cities NonVolent is to keep the families together.
A young teen in our community without a dad is almost destined for failure. It's up to all of us, our schools, our role models, our neighbors, to keep our families together. I grew up right over there at North Commerce Park, and the one thing that made the difference for me is love. Love from my family and love from my community.
The biggest problem in America, in my opinion, is father absence. If every father went back and became a good father to their kids, we wouldn't have gang problems. We wouldn't have kids in poverty. We wouldn't have a lot of things that are going on wrong in this world if fathers would take their rightful place in a child's life.
I admit I'm a racist. I don't want to be, and I'm trying not to be. I want to see the goodness in every person because I believe there are no bad people in the world. There are only good people who do bad things like being racist.
You might not see the racism that happens in our community. You may not even be aware about the racism that happened in your own community. But what can we do to make that change? Racism is a two-way street. We should look at ourselves before we accuse someone else for being racist.
One of the blessings of living in the Twin Cities is that there is an amazing diversity. We have wonderful people who are of color. We have gay people who want to live a happy and fruitful and meaningful life. Twin Cities NonVolent care about the people who are already here, the indigenous people, and for those who are now coming to our country, the migrants and the refugees who are seeking asylum. We're not against people who are different from us. We're for those who are different. We see the blessing in the people who are different, lovingly different. We respect them, we care about them, and we seek to treat them with love. Twin Cities NonVolent has found a number of organizations that are doing a variety of things to bring people together.
As organizations, we need to provide the hope and the need and the space and opportunity for the kids in our community in North Minneapolis to be able to become more than what we're perceived as.
We're here on Lake Riley to go fishing with inner city young men.
I feel like it's a good time. It's gonna be a good experience because it's my first time going fishing. You know, I want to catch the biggest fish, all the fish.
Art is the universal language of peace. It brings communities and people together. The question is, what can we do to create an environment of love in the Twin Cities?
If I could wave my magic wand, the Twin Cities would do three things. All people would be in relationship with communities of color or those in poverty. We would end racism, and everyone would be able to afford a home.
It doesn't matter if you're in government, a community leader, or a voter. We need your help.
Join us for peace, please.
Last April, my family and I reconnected with New York City, up close and personal.
I'll get another chair.
Our adventure was with the city itself and our old friends, not Broadway or museums. It was a party. There was a lot of walking and talking, some of it in the East Village.
Okay, so this is where I used to live back in 1984. Moved in January the 1st into this establishment here. There was my mama's theatre, my next door neighbor. And there was an Italian restaurant, no longer there. And across the road here is the KGB Club, which opened up after I'd been there for a year or two. But now it's no longer a residence. It was barely a residence then.
When Pete Brownscombe moved into the East Village in 1984, graffiti artists were considered vandals. And now they get commissions and grants. Pete's a TV cameraman. Our shared work lives began in the Twin Cities and moved out to New York when Ed Koch was mayor. This April, my daughter Amy joined us for a walk through old haunts. One of our stops was Ray's Candy Store. It's got a view of Thompson Square Park.
You want a cup or cone?
Cup. This is the egg cream. This is a mango. There's this flavor. This is the mango egg cream.
What are you going to have,
Pete? That's I'm getting as a citizenship there.
Ray Alvarez became a U.S. citizen in 2011. He had been an illegal immigrant for nearly 50 years. Pete told me that as a young sailor in the Iranian Navy, Ray had jumped ship and swam to shore near Norfolk, Virginia. After a variety of moves and jobs, Ray opened up his candy store in 1974.
We have ice creams and French fries and everything you see we got. Oh, right, chocolate egg cream. Coffee egg cream? Yeah.
At Ray's, one can get variations of a New York egg cream. It's a fizzy drink with no eggs and no cream. And don't ask, it's complicated. Back in 1988, Pete counted 6 lunch counters within a 5-minute walk from his flat. Now there are none. But a few signature institutions still carry on. What'd you get?
Coffee egg cream.
What they do is they'll push somebody into the tracks.
That's what people come here for. And then there's not really a healthy choice here. It's just
Ray and his fried confections became East Village celebrities. More so these days with upscale boutiques, a Target, and convenience stores infecting the neighborhood. Not everyone is pleased. Now on to Bloomington, home of Mall of America, and something else.
From the west parking lot, Bloomington's Farmers Market has a grand entrance. From mid-June to mid-October, customers hungry for farm-fresh veggies and fruit walk through an atrium appointed with, get this, sculpture, art galleries, and theaters. Waiting for them on the east side are local growers, bakers, beekeepers, and coffee bean roasters. Here's Jeff again.
Norte Cafe coffee, what is it?
Well, it's direct from a particular region in Colombia, and it's roasted locally here just outside the Twin Cities, so it's fresh, it's delicious, and yeah, you should come try some.
Tell me about the owner.
Yeah, so the owner, he is from Colombia. His parents are second generation coffee farmers, so he knows the farmers who are growing the coffee, and even has a farm himself.
What kind of bread is it?
It is white cheddar garlic. So we've got everything from sweet to savory. They have some seasonal rotations, and right now there's a cranberry wild rice that is very popular, and of course some batter breads, and then just our flagship honey whole wheat white standard varieties as well.
How many years have you been coming?
About 8 years now. Everything's homegrown.
And where's your farm?
In Hastings, Minnesota. C&L Garden.
How large a farm do you have?
Around about 10 acres.
Okay, we're for the all skincare.
Are they topical?
All the skincare is topical, and we have moisturizers, facial oil, under eye oil, and
And what's this tomato?
So this tomato I don't know how to pronounce because it has a spelling of A-X-A-Y-A-C-A-N-A. Anybody can help me understand how to pronounce that, I'd really appreciate it. I am the only certified organic farm here at the Bloomington market. We also do many other markets throughout the week, which we're the only certified organic farm. We have 8 acres of vegetables on our farm. We have a 160-acre farm. It was my grandfather's farm, so I'm third-generation farmer there. The main crop on our farm is elderberries, which is the highest antioxidant fruit on the planet. Take 1 teaspoon a day. There's 48 teaspoons in a jar. It'll add to anything you like to drink, and it'll build your immune system so you're less likely to get sick from anything.
You brat.
Yeah, so some of the members of the Bloomington Planning Division are tabling here at the Farmers Market to discuss different projects that are going on in the community. We certainly have our development map and other information over yonder, and there's a lot of resources on our website. So if anyone ever has a question about land use or zoning in Bloomington, they can always contact the Planning Division at City Hall. I would encourage them to give us a call.
Did you hear that? She said thank you.
Where's your orchard?
It's in Elko New Market, south of Burnsville here.
So who makes the carameled apples?
I dipped the caramel apples the night before, and they're Sweet Tango apples with Abdella caramel. They're delicious.
Bloomington Farmers Market runs Saturday through October 15 from 8 in the morning to 1 in the afternoon. With redistricting, Eden Prairie and Southern Minnetonka residents now live in Minnesota State Senate District 49. Senator Steve Swedzinski and Representatives Lori Pryor, 49A, and Carly Kotyza-Whitthun, 49B, are seeking re-election. Back on September 7th, the Democratic incumbents and their Republican challengers were at Eden Prairie City Hall for a League of Women Voters candidate forum. Before the 2-hour Q&A session, the DFLers spoke with Democratic visions.
In action.
Representative Lori Pryor.
So, how's the campaign going?
You know, it's always intense, you know, because you care so much, and it's hard. You want to reach everybody and listen to all the stories out there and all the issues that people have, but it's also really rewarding because of that. So I think it's going good. We've had some great door knocks, we've had great volunteers, we've got great participation, so I feel good.
What's the big issue voters are telling you about?
I think there's a couple really big issues. People really are talking about abortion. And they just want to know that their rights are going to be protected and the rights of future women. And it's a big issue. People also care about democracy, basically. When we're talking about January 6th, it's another big issue for folks. And they're also talking about just basically kind of our quality of life. We still want great schools, a clean environment, and all the things that make Eden Prairie and Minnetonka a great place to live.
Representative Carly Kotyza-Whitthun.
Well, I've spent a lot of time door knocking already this summer, and it's been so great to see folks face to face again at their front doors. Really enjoying hearing how things are going for folks, how they've been enjoying summer with their families, and but you know we're still coming out of COVID, so I mean that's top of mind for folks. We know that education has been a challenge over the past few years, and kids are ready to get back to school. They're ready to be in person learning full time. Our teachers and our paraprofessionals have done such an amazing job here in Eden Prairie supporting all of our kids throughout the pandemic. So we know that education is still a top issue for our community. People are worried about safety. We have to really make sure that every member of our community feels safe when they're out and about, and make sure that everyone can return home safely at the end of every day. I know that Eden Prairie residents expect us to set aside our differences and make sure that we can get work done. I think I've proven my mettle in doing just that, and I'm excited to get back to the Capitol and continue working toward our shared values.
Senator Steve Swazinski.
Yeah, I think that it's interesting this year, door knocking. People have they want to talk more. I don't remember in my last two cycles people wanting to talk as much, and they're very well informed and very well educated about how a bill becomes a law 101. Yeah, I credit Eden Prairie. All three of my campaigns so far, this one and the previous two, have been very cordial, respectful, civil. So I'm proud of the residents of Eden Prairie, Minnetonka that kind of maybe demand that of us.
If elected, what are your priorities going to be?
The State Fair has this survey at the Senate and House booth, and one of the questions this year was, should civics be required? And it was the only question that got over 75% of the people saying yes. It was 90%. I've been fighting for a civics requirement for 6 years, and if the people at 90% said they want it, maybe this will be the year.
You have a co-author of the bill, or?
I have they're all Democrats. I haven't been able to get a Republican on board for 6 years. The bill, the proposal is, in order to graduate from high school, a student would have to have a 11th or 12th grade, so not 9th grade, but an 11th or 12th grade civics class, in order to graduate. And the opposition has always been, we shouldn't be mandating upon school districts what their curriculum should be. It should be up to the individual district. And my retort to that has always been, the legislature has mandated, STEM classes and math classes and all kinds of other things. So a civics class seems like the one thing the state legislature should want people to be informed about.
Nonpartisan voter guides are published by regional and local print and online digital newspapers. The League's forum videos are available online.
Thanks for being with us. We'll see you next time.
Democratic Visions is handcrafted by volunteers from Eden Prairie, Hopkins, Minnetonka, Edina, and Bloomington. Watch us on select cable systems and on our YouTube channel. This is Carol Sundstrom.